Hello, everyone, and welcome to P1 Broadcasting. It's Monday night. It's Murph. It's Collins. And you know what that means? It's the INDYCAR Open Top Split. And today, we are live from a track that has never hosted INDYCARs, Jacob. And it probably never will, but it would be one that would be awesome to see. This is one of those weeks, Jacob, where it's a bit of a fantasy, but it's a cool fantasy to have. We are at Mount Panorama, the Bathurst circuit, for INDYCARs on iRacing.
Yeah, it's certainly a track that I think a lot of people would love to see on an open wheel calendar, right? You know, we've seen the likes of Jensen Button take an F1 car around here, I want to say around 10 or so some odd years ago. And it's one that I think a lot of people would love to see, but as we'll see tonight, there's probably a good reason that the series organizers don't want to bring these grounded airplanes to the mountain. You know,
you're absolutely right. The track, 3.861 miles. It is the home of the Bathurst 1000 Australian Supercar event. It's also hosted a 12-hour race for international GTs. They've had a 500-mile event here as well. It has been, this circuit has been the home of the Australian Grand Prix, but the last one of those was 1958 was the last time this place held open wheelers. The lap record here in an unrestricted GT3, 1 minute 59.210. I would suspect, Jacob, that we are going to see that fall heavily tonight.
That would be my hope.
That was in an Audi R8 LMS. I'm looking at the Wikipedia page. Jensen Button did do a lap in a McLaren MP423 Formula One car as part of a publicity stunt for the 2011 Australian Grand Prix. He recorded a lap time of 1 minute 48.88 seconds. You've also had Luke Yolden go around here in a Brabham BT62. That was one of the final Brabham F1 cars, 1 minute 58.694. So that's kind of what we're looking at. 1 minute 48.88 would be the time for an older Formula One car. I would suspect that we're going to see much quicker times than that, Jacob.
Looks like we already are here in qualifying. We've got times as low as a low 143, so we'll have to see if that continues to fall through the rest of the time here.
We do. Let's go ahead and see if we can't jump on board with Rashad Craig as he navigates Bathurst down the front straightaway, and he's going to make the left in the hell corner and then go straight up the mountain. And this is where it gets fun, Jacob.
Most certainly, but I believe Rashad is slowing on the track.
He did slow, and I think he is done.
If it's a one and done here.
Yeah, it might be. Hunter Ingrav is on the course, so we'll go ahead and show Hunter.
All 6 cylinders screaming down the mountain here as he heads towards that iconic chase.
Yeah, and this is the one that you see all the time where people come launch the car over the wall. Jacob is Hunter Ingrav in the Rogue Racing machine. Gets down through the chase. He's about to come around Murray's corner. Now, he'll have one more lap here should he elect to drive it. And there's Hunter now. He's going to go through Hell Corner and he's going to head up the mountain toward Griffiths Bend, but he is not going to take additional time. Caleb Brashear is going back out, and so here's Brashear, and maybe this will be one that we can finally show a lap, Jacob.
We're bound to get one of them eventually, right? We got a couple laps on offer in the race too.
We do indeed. Here's Brashear, and he's already completed one lap, so Caleb, who's in contention for our points championship, Caleb Brashear just may be looking to get some additional laps. Not a lot of time to practice here, and of course, this track is not one that you'd normally see on an open wheel schedule. Speaking of those standings, there you go. Alan Berteau is the points leader. This man you're riding on board, Caleb Brashear for the Luke Mansky Racing Esports team, is second. Logan Edwards is third. Ty Keela and Seb Alexander round out the top 5. It is important to note Seb Alexander is short 1 week, as is Adam Blocker in 7th. He's 7th in the points. Adam Blocker's only made 4 starts. Rashad Craig also has some work to do. The defending series champion is 8th. Clindy is 9th. Anthony Heitzma is 10th. The European split getting a lot of action in those point standings. I did not get a chance to look, Jacob, but what is the strength of field tonight?
I believe it's somewhere in the neighborhood of 3,700. I can get the exact figure here shortly. That'll be 3,714.
So there should be opportunity to get good points on offer here for the likes of Brashear, Edwards, as well as Ty Keela and even Rashad Craig. Here's Edwards as he comes through, and that pit entry is something to behold in between Murray's Corner and the main straight. We are done with qualifying, and as I suspected, he was Brashear was simply getting an extra lap of practice. And so Jacob,
hot.
Yeah, I mean you might as well. Brashear will go from the 12th starting spot. And speaking of the grid, here we go. On the pole, it's going to be Hunter Ingrav. Ingrav with a lap of 1 minute 43.223 seconds. That's about 5 seconds quicker, Jacob, than the absolute track record that we would assume is held by Jensen Button. Anna Klimek, Anna the Deer, is going to start 2 Hunters outside. Rashad Craig, Logan Edwards, they're going to go from row number 2. Nick Sudik, Seb Alexander will roll from row 3. Sophie O'Connell, Anthony Heitzma from 7th and 8th. Ty Keela and Thomas Van Kirk, they're going to start 9th and 10th. In 11th, it is Lazaro Benatti. Caleb Brashear will go from 12th. Facundo Arduzzo will start 13th. And Tyler Langenberg, and we've seen Langenberg do this before, Jacob. No qualifying effort, shotgun on the field. We'll see what Tyler Langenberg can do as we get ready for 24 laps around here at Bathurst. And you were saying earlier, as we were kind of talking before the race, we didn't know a lot about fuel mileage just because we haven't been here before. But kind of talk to us about tires. The assumption would be, Jacob, that the black sidewall primary tires are going to be preferred here.
Yeah, and it looks like as we're seeing cars grid up here that the bulk of the field is going to start on that black primary tire. Langenberg is the only one currently. Actually, he'll switch over to the primaries as well. So it looks like pretty much everybody's making the call for that black primary tire. Very heavy braking zones here at Bathurst, despite the bulk of the track being rather lower speed comparatively speaking. Those heavy braking zones heading down through the chase. Very, very heavy braking zone there. Even heading through the final corner and the first corner. Very heavy 90-degree corners there. Get the car slowed down, and through those corners is going to take a lot from the tires, so no surprises on the black tire here tonight.
Yeah, and this is one of those tracks with those huge straightaways up and down the mountain, Jacob. You must stay in the draft. You must. It is going to be a requirement to have a good finish here tonight, I think.
Yeah, almost certainly. I think it's going to be one of the times that we see the draft play a factor. We see it oftentimes play a factor at a track like Road America, which likewise has some very, very significant straightaways to it. So it'll be interesting to see how many cars can kind of stay close together and work the draft to ultimately try to get a solid finish here tonight.
Now, thankfully, this is not a full pace lap around the 3.6 miles here at Mount Panorama, or 3.8 miles rather. It is not a full pace lap, and so we are just about ready to head off and get the green flag. Pace car is away, and there's your field, 14 of them streaming toward Barney and the green flag. It's out, and we are underway here from Mount Panorama. Hunter Ingrav leads Anna Klimek, Logan Edwards, and Rashad Craig toward turn 1.
We'll see cars kind of file on in single file for the most part until we get way deep in this field. We're going to see the draft start to play its factor here as we see Edwards and Klimek working side by side. Edwards will get the best of that.
Yeah, Edwards makes the move around the outside of Griffin's Bend. They're headed toward the cutting and up through Quarry Corner, and this is where it's going to get interesting, Jacob, These Indy cars going up the mountain and down the mountain, this is so very narrow, and it's very, very tricky. Even in a slower GT car, we suspect that we're going to see a lot of attrition here from just cars touching those walls.
It's touching the walls, and it's getting the car kind of bottomed out through the transitions here. The transition up and down the mountain here, we'll see it as they kind of head down here. There's a lot of spots where the entire car is basically wedged up in the air between the tires. So it's going to be very, very tricky to navigate the car through this section here. And it's ultimately what's going to be what separates people apart from each other as we get to these long straightaways here on the back end of the course.
Yeah, as they come down the mountain, here is Nick Sudik. We're on board with Nick. And just to kind of show you how important the draft is, he's already 1.3 seconds behind Rashad Craig, and that is not good for Nick Sudik. He is in danger of losing the draft. He's got Seb Alexander right behind him. No move made from Seb. Nobody has touched the push to pass, incidentally, but these guys are going to want to get a move on. They do not want to lose the back of Rashad Craig.
Well, one thing to point out is we don't get push to pass until lap 2. We're not Team Penske. So we'll move swiftly past that, as I imagine we're going to see a lot of cars start to bunch back together very, very quickly through the next portion of this race.
Now it lights up, and Nick Sudik all over that button. He knows how important it is to chase down Rashad Craig, and we've got a pass for the lead. Logan Edwards has gone past Hunter Ingrave, who's moved past Anna Klimek. So make it Edwards, Ingrave, Klimek, and Rashad Craig at the front of this field as Sudik desperately tries to catch him as they head up the mountain for the second time. We are working 24 laps here, Jacob. I did not get a chance to ask anybody, but what's the story on fuel here? Do we have any idea what they can make?
I'd suspect it's going to be 13, 14 at the most. Maybe around that number. Maybe they can save a little bit through this downhill section by staying kind of on the clutch, lifting out. That's always an option, but I think with just how full throttle most of this track is, it's not going to be a ton of fuel saving here. So we're going to see likely a stop around that halfway mark here tonight.
Indeed, looking out the left eyeball of Hunter Ingrave as he gives chase to Logan Edwards down the Conrad Straight into the chase. And you can visibly see Logan Edwards, Luke Mansky Racing Esports machine lift up off the ground, going over the brow of that hill. Heavy braking, and through that chicane they go up toward Murray's Corner under the Armor All Bridge. They'll hang a left. They'll be on the main straight, and we'll start lap 3, Jacob.
Yeah, and the big thing here is so many of these corners, the optimal line is almost the only line through the corner. It's not really a matter of if, it's a matter of you have to. Especially these 90-degree bends. They look like there's a good bit of ways to get around them, but you're going to see guys aiming directly for those apexes and aiming straight off of them. It's so easy to go wide anywhere here on the course and end your night.
It most certainly is. Logan Edwards is your leader. Hunter Ingrave second. Rashad Craig is third. Do appreciate the patience with the connection issues. That's been a theme for me, Jacob, over the last several days, and I'm hoping that we get pictures back shortly. There we go. Jacob, can you hear me?
Yeah, I got a copy.
There we go. I appreciate everybody's patience. My screen went completely blank for just a moment. We are live here on the P1 Broadcasting Network. It is Murph. It is Jacob Collins. We are watching lap 3 of a scheduled 24 from the Mount Panorama circuit in Australia. This is one of those fantasy weeks. But what's not a fantasy is if you like the stream and can do us a solid, smash the like button on the video, ring the bell, subscribe to P1. We would definitely love to have you along for all of our quality iRacing content. Got a message here on YouTube. It says around 15 laps on fuel. And I would suspect, Jacob, that everybody is going to want to make it that full 15 laps.
Yeah, I think with how pretty much everyone got onto these black tires, likely for the durability of them, they're going to want to stretch them as long as they can and make that alternate stint as short as it can be, because those things tend to go away very, very quickly. And the last thing you want on a track like this is to not have any tire grip.
That is very true. I do want to point out that Ty Keela and Tyler Langenberg, while my system decided to black out, there's Keela and Langenberg also coming around behind him. Langenberg in a little bit better shape than Ty is, but both those cars with the meatball. Keela is going to continue around. I suspect he knows he's driving a tricycle, and he's just going to try to make as many laps as he can before being black flagged.
Yeah, I'm going back to try to find where that incident would have occurred. It looks like there was a number of cars towards the back of the field that were spun around in the wrong direction, heading up the mountain, resulting in contact being made with Keela, and I believe that's going to be the number 6 machine of Bernardi, and then Langenberg gets stuck behind Keela and runs into him, and that's going to be their damage and the tricycle effect for Mr. Keela.
Yeah, there he is, and that's not got to be a lot of fun trying to go through the mountain on 3 wheels, and he's just trying anything he can to complete as many laps as possible, save the safety rating, maybe save himself a position or 2. Meanwhile, Logan Edwards continues to lead it, and really now it's down to just he and Hunter Ingrav. They've separated themselves from Anna Klimek and Rashad Craig. Those two have paired off nicely. And then you've got Seb Alexander and Nick Sudik back in 5th and 6th, and Seb has really kind of separated himself from Sudik as well. He's about a second, 1.2 seconds ahead of Sudik. So Seb Alexander has definitely made his way past. We have a question from Cold Front and Penguin, Jacob, about doing these races for money. Now, that's a great question, right?
Well, occasionally we'll see them. Typically in the official series we don't see that unless somebody's going to throw up a prize pool for it. You'll mostly see it in league events like the upcoming Vote of Indy Derby in January. I believe we'll have a payout for that opening round of their championship, their crown jewel event at the Kentucky Speedway. Is it just Kentucky Speedway there?
It's just Kentucky Speedway, and that is nearly a community crown jewel event. You'll want to keep your eyes open to that. Cold Front and Penguin. Smash subscribe on the channel. I think, and I'm going to have to look this up, and I should know this, Jacob. After all, I am the winner of the inaugural Indy Derby, and so there's all sorts of stuff that Shane does with my car around that race, and it's a ton of fun. But I can't remember for the life of me when that race is. But it does have a nice payout. There's a couple $100 to win it. There's a couple $100 to win that one. You'll see special events like the PRI Hoosier 500. That's going to happen here. In the next month or so. That race has a $1,000 purse. There's the P1 600, which occurs annually in June. That race pays out $600 total. And so there are broadcasts throughout the year, but that they do pay some money. But mostly those are league or private events, or they're community events that are organized, Jacob, outside of the official series like this one. These are very popular among the drivers, the competitors, though. Everybody wants that. Everybody wants that plaque that says that they're a world champion, right, Jacob?
Yeah, you got to stick it on the fridge. Give your mom something to be proud of.
That's right. I stuck it on my fridge just so my kids would have something to be proud of.
Yeah, that race for Votive will take place on Sunday, January 11th, 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Will be green flag. There
you go. So, Mr. Penguin, if you wanted to see us race for money, tune it into P1. Watch the Votive Indy Derby. We're watching Seb Alexander. It's worth mentioning that the front four have paired away now. Ingrav still continues to hold the back of the Luke Mansky Racing Esports machine of this guy right here, Logan Edwards. Rashad Craig and Anna Klimek are right together, P3 and 4. Seb Alexander and Nick Sudik are about 2 seconds apart from Craig, and then from Alexander to Sudik. The next battle, and this is one that would have to be surprising, Nick Sudik has all kinds of problems with Sophia Connell in the second Taylor Mills Racing entry.
This is actually the first time I think we've seen Sophia in an official series event here on P1 in quite a good bit of time, so it's good to see her back out on the track. Putting up a battle with Sudik, makes the pass down into that last corner here at Bathurst. Is going to head back up towards the hill. We'll see if she can start mounting a charge.
John Bloom wants to know if this series has ever visited the iRacing Super Speedway. Jacob, I cannot recall an open race at iRacing Super Speedway. However, the fixed oval series, so this series, 7 road courses, 5 ovals. The setups are open completely, so driver's choice. There is the fixed oval series with these cars that competes on Tuesday nights, is the televised race at 7:15 Eastern Standard with the daylight savings time change. And so that race, that series does and will visit the iRacing Super Speedway, and it is absolutely wild. These cars will do 263 miles an hour, Jacob, in a draft, I believe is the record.
It's typically reserved for the season 4 finale to kind of end out the year with a bang for that series. We saw it last year during the 13th week that was used in officials due to the leap year last year. So it'll be good to see kind of a community classic come back for another bout.
It is, and that's always a fun time. Gary Gonzo, our founder here at P1 and the broadcaster of that particular series, you'll see Gary Gonzo. You'll usually see Gary Gonzo do a double header at the iRacing Super Speedway, which is quite funny in and of itself. There is not a fixed road series. There is the fixed sprint series, which follows this schedule. It's generally no stops, so it would be 7 road, 5 oval in this car, following the open schedule. And Jacob, what time does that take place?
I believe it's every hour or every other hour on the 15. It alternates with this series, I believe, is how iRacing has that set up.
Yeah, so the next one of those would be 8:15 Eastern. You can come run Bathurst for a much smaller number of laps, right? It's just a single stint usually. So
yeah, it's 8 laps there, I believe, this week.
Yeah, so usually those are about a third of the distance of these. So you can experience this car on ovals as well as road courses. And ovals and road courses are definitely part of running IndyCars. And Hunter Ingrav, he didn't care if it's a road course or an oval. That car was all 4 wheels off the ground going through the mountain.
Yeah, we've talked about how you're going to see cars kind of battle through that, not having the tires all put in one spot. And it's very much the complexities that come with these open wheel cars, especially around this track, is you don't really have the luxury of a consistent suspension travel as you're so close to the ground.
Most certainly. So let's take a ride with Hunter Ingrav, and we'll ride along with the second place competitor here as he makes his way toward Murray's Corner down the front main straight. He'll head for Hell Corner and back up the mountain toward Griffiths Bend. John Bloom wants to know what would be a key piece of advice for learning how to drive this car. I will leave that to Jacob, since he is far better than I am at driving this thing. How about it, Jacob? You're the votive coach.
I think the biggest thing I've learned kind of talking with a lot of new drivers to this car is that it's very distinct from if you're coming from an international Formula car background, because a lot of American open wheel racing is very down to the mechanical grip of the car. You're leaning more on the tires than you are the wings. Yes, there are still wings on these cars, but they don't tend to rely on them quite as heavily as you'll see across the international slew of open wheelers here on iRacing. So it's very much, you've got to be willing to trust you can bail yourself out with the pedals more than the steering wheel sometimes. So that's the biggest thing I could say personally.
Yeah, I mean, for me it's a little bit of the opposite. So I grew up very much in a karting background, Jacob, like you. To me, this car sets itself apart because the ground effects make it such that for that ultimate lap time, the harder you push, especially on an oval, generally the better off you're going to be. go faster, ground effect more. But that'll also get you into quick trouble. For me, I think the biggest thing is learning how much the air is affected from the cars in front. You lose a ton of downforce when you are behind other vehicles, and that's something that really you don't see in any other open wheel car, Jacob. I mean, I've driven some F3 stuff, the Formula Renault 3.5 car when it was used, and I can't recall another car in iRacing that struggles with air so much as this one, with dirty air.
I think it's something that comes with more complex aerodynamics too, right? You'll probably see it more on other cars of around this license class and higher. You know, we have the Super Formula that kind of suffers from similar aero concerns, although that has much more aerodynamic grip to start with. You know, you talk about Formula One, we have Formula One cars here on iRacing, same deal there. The more reliant you become on the aerodynamics, the much more likely that having that aerodynamic grip interrupted in any way becomes a much bigger issue.
Indeed. This car, though, on an oval especially, is a whole different beast when it comes to that. And so learning to drive within constraints of being around other cars and how that affects yours, that's probably the biggest thing that I can say that you'd have to learn. We're watching Anna Klimek. She is being chased by Rashad Craig, and ever so slightly into this picture, Jacob, has crept Seb Alexander. At one point, he was 1.8 seconds, 2 seconds adrift of this battle. He's closed that down to 1.3 now as we head down toward the chase.
Yeah, I think we're going to see his draft off of those cars ahead play a good factor on those longer straightaways. You know, he's kind of in the window now to where he can maximize the slipstream effect. If he can get a little bit closer, he'll be right up with the battle for the bottom step of the podium.
He has indeed. Do want to point out Anthony Heitzma has also got a meatball, and so Heitzma is on the pit lane. He is currently scored in 10th, although in a couple of laps he will lose that position to Tyler Langenberg, who affected 9 minutes of repair, Jacob, and is back out on the Mount Panorama circuit. We get to the blimp now, watching the battle between Anna Klimek and Rashad Craig. Logan Edwards leads it. He is now drawn out just a little bit more than a second over Hunter Ingrab, and the car that surprises me most is Nick Sudik. You would think that the Fiercely Ford entry would be a little bit more feisty up toward the front. Not so. Sudik has started to lose touch now with Sophia Connell in 6th. Sudik runs along in 7th, and you got to wonder if maybe Nick is carrying a little bit extra downforce to help deal with the mountain, and that's just causing him to get yarded on the straightaways.
Well, I was looking at some of the kind of pre-race conversation going on in the server tonight, and it sounds like this is Nick's first race in this car in at least a month. So he might just be trying to get back to grips with wrangling this thing, and this is a very tough reintroduction.
You know, it can be, and this track is this track is. I don't want to say it's Nordschleife-like, but it kind of is, Jacob. It's a longer circuit. It's a very complex circuit. It's very technical. I would say to call it a miniature Nürburgring is not out of the question, especially with how technical that mountain section is. Now, you don't have to be that technical for nearly as long as you do at the ring, but it does have that kind of feel to it, does it not?
I think a lot of that just has to do with how much you have to trust your instincts and trust your faith in not only your abilities, but the car itself, right? There's so many of these corners that are very, very high commitment, very, very low margin for error, that you have to be able to be right on the limit of things every single time to make the pace.
Talk about the guy that's on the limit and making the pace. That's that man right there, Logan Edwards. He has shot out now. It was over a second. Now that'll accordion back a little bit coming through the mountain, but he'll stretch that back out on the backside. It was about 1.1 seconds. He has consistently been a couple of tenths a lap faster than Hunter Ingrab. You got to wonder if Ingrab is maybe saving fuel, trying to go an extra lap. Same for Rashad Craig hanging out behind Anna Klimek. Seb Alexander has now dropped a second and a half back of Craig, and so Seb had closed it up. He's now fallen back. John, you do need some engineering knowledge to do the open setup side, and that's kind of been a barrier for entry, I think, to some people. I know myself, righty-tighty, lefty-loosey is the limit of my mechanical knowledge. Thankfully, being part of a larger team means that I don't have to engage. I can do the laps and I can tell them what the car does. But a lot of these big teams, like you see the Luke Mansky Racing Esports entries, Rogue Racing is up front, Indy Alliance Racing, Sophia Connell for the Taylor Mills Racing team. Those Nick Sudik with Fiercely Ford P1 Docs. Those teams all have a number of drivers that run laps, compare engineering notes, and assist with car setup. And there's usually one or two guys on the team that are good with engineering the race cars. The Power Slide juggernaut immediately pops to mind, Jacob. They're one of their leaders on that team. Adam Blocker is an IndyCar engineer. That's what he does. So it certainly helps.
It's just another kind of piece of the puzzle in a lot of cases too, right? Is figuring out how to get the car not only where it makes speed, but it makes speed where you can handle it, right? There's a lot of times you'll hear drivers talking about having to kind of tailor the car to their liking, even if it is kind of the team engineer putting it together and slapping it out on the track. Everybody's got their own little spin on things, and that's part of the fun here.
They most certainly do, and that's the thing, Jacob. We were talking about that last night at one of the votive fun races. Was the different combinations that all of us were using, and it was kind of interesting to hear the different drivers talk about what they preferred and how they got the best out of the car. And we were all over the map, with different bars and weight jacker, and that's in a fixed setup environment where the only things you can change are the in-car tools. And we were all over the map, and more or less you had 5 or 6 guys that, Jacob, we were all making similar speed, right, with all these different
that's
setups.
Part of what makes this car so interesting too, right, is you have such a wide window. It's part of the advertised features, actually. If anybody's read the car description of the IndyCar here on iRacing, it's part of what they tout it as, is it's got such a wide window of adjustment you can make on it to tailor it exactly how you need it, and that really does play a big factor in every single race in this car.
Yeah, it most certainly is, and it's interesting to hear different teammates even in engineering meetings talk about, I like this and I don't like that, and I can't drive this car, but I like this one better. It's interesting to hear those discussions. It's part of the fun as Logan Edwards continues to have fun. He's in the mountain, lap 14 of 24 here on the P1 Broadcasting Channel. You've got Murph and you've got Collins, and if you like the coverage, make sure you smash the like button on the video, ring the bell, subscribe to the channel so that you can be notified of all future P1 action. And we've got more coming for you tonight. At 9 o'clock, Jacob will be live with the Indy Next Series, and at 9:05, Gary Godso, Luis Gonzalez Nunez, they're going to have the finale of the Onyx Lotus 79 series. We're going to Fontana in the Lotus 79s, which are meant to mimic, by the way, about an early 1980s March, and that is something I've been looking forward to because of this broadcast. I didn't get to run most of the season. I have wanted to sample that car on an oval for a high-speed oval for a very long time, and Jacob, we're going to have it tonight at 9:05 as Logan Edwards is going to pull it into the pit lane. He's coming to get lap 15. Might this be a lap early?
Well, he's coming down at 14. We suspected 15 would be the limit on fuel. I'm wondering if he thinks that the undercut here is going to be the play. We see Seb Alexander just behind him heading down the pit lane as well. A number of other cars, I believe that's going to be Cannell, Sudik, and Brashear all down the pit lane as well. So I don't think this is too early. It's probably right on the money. You'll see cars likely coming across the line on very low fuel at the end of this race, but I think the tires is going to be the bigger factor here, as they're going to have to hang on to these red alternates for 14 laps.
Yes, they would need to do 14 laps. And here's the other, so it may be that the drivers going one lap longer here have an advantage at the end. The other bit of that, Jacob, and you kind of touched on it with me and Nick Sudik, black flag, too fast exiting pit lane. So Sadiq is going to have a drive through here. But kind of to walk the people through. There are tracks where tires are affected, really between the primaries and the alternates, and there are tracks that are not. And we had supposed that this track would be very hard on the alternate tires. Kind of talk to the people about why.
Yeah, and I would like to correct, it's going to be 10 laps to the finish here on these red tires for these guys that have come down the pit lane. But the biggest thing is that you have very, very heavy braking zones at this track. So there's going to be a lot of times where the tires are going to be under heavy, heavy load as you try to woe them down from, 200 some odd miles an hour, give or take, down these long straightaways, down to the 40, 50, 60 that you'll see towards the end of this lap from a guy like Logan Edwards here. And you have to think about how that tire wear impacts the car over the long game, right? If you wear the tire out really, really early, that makes it much harder to navigate later in the run. And you'll see this even on ovals where if you wear that right front tire out to the point where it's, completely sheared off or the tread's missing, the car will just kind of want to drive into the fence all on its own. So it's a very tricky game to be on very, very worn out tires, and these red alternates take the abuse kind of worse than any other tire we've got here in IndyCar.
They do indeed. Watching Logan Edwards, he will flash through here and take the lead. That was his out lap, and we'll see how this plays out. Anna Klimek, Rashad Craig, Hunter Ingrave are all now off of pit road. Now, it's going to be crucial for Ingrave, especially to maintain this draft. He needs to be within about 1.8 seconds. As you saw Klimek and Craig sneak through, we saw Klimek and Craig sneak through Tyler Langenberg there, who is multiple laps down. We must report that Seb Alexander is on pit lane with the meatball, and let's see what has happened to the Indy Alliance Racing team leader. He's missing all the wings on that car.
Looks like quite the tumble from what I've quickly gathered.
Oi, there it goes. So there's Seb. He's on his out lap. He's in the mountain section. And how did he manage? Well, it blinked, Jacob, and then the car is upside down the mountain. I suspect that what's happened here is that Seb Alexander lit the tires up.
That might look like a hardware failure to me. That car goes dead left right into the wall and then starts rolling. And
that could have been too. And that's nothing on Seb. We had we had some questions about my graphics set up earlier. I'm on a high-end 3 Series card that should present no problems for iRacing. But there have been some noted connectivity issues with this build, Jacob, and that may have just bit Seb Alexander right there.
Yeah, very, very tough break for Alexander, who is running inside the top 5 here.
Yeah, he's running 5th.
On the closest pages.
Yeah, he's running 5th. That's going to promote Sophia Connell into 5th. And Caleb Brashear, don't look now. Caleb Brashear is now 6th. And let's get back to the points, because this is important for the points chase. Alan Berteau is your leader, not here. Caleb Brashear is 2nd. Now, this is week 10 of 8. This is week 10. 8 of 12 weeks count. So it's your best 8 results out of 12. If Caleb Brashear has a bad finish somewhere in there, he had a DNF or out of the race or finished in pretty bad shape somewhere, he's got a chance to erase one of those results, we call them drops, and get himself into a position where he might be able to pick up some points on points leading Alan Berteau.
Yeah, season ain't over until it's over, and you've got a couple more weeks to play with. We'll see another road course next week at Barber Motorsports Park. That's always a very tricky track to navigate in its own right. And then obviously we'll be rounding out the season at the famed Indianapolis Motor Speedway Oval. So a good opportunity for potentially some big points, especially heading into that last week in Indianapolis.
Yeah, that last week in Indianapolis, traditionally Indianapolis held on Thanksgiving week. And that's always so much fun, Jacob. To see that, of course, you're going to have drivers that are wanting to run that just in preparation for the PRI Hoosier 500. That's one of those big races that our good friend the Penguin was asking about earlier. You know, it's that race at Indianapolis is going to be the perfect chance for some of those guys to test out those setups. It would not surprise me, Jacob, to see an SOF record for the broadcast in Indianapolis.
Well, I think the big thing too will be is this will be the last official race at Indianapolis until the hybrid comes out. iRacing has confirmed we're going to receive that hybrid unit going into the new year in the sim, so that'll probably put a monkey wrench in a number of people's weeks going into that Hoosier 500. I believe it's going to come out between the qualifying for that race and the race itself, so it's going to be a big learning curve.
You know, it most certainly will, and that's something that has been highly anticipated within the sim. Of course, we got the Indy Next car this season, and that has been a delight to drive, and it's been delightful watching Jacob Collins broadcast it. It was not delightful for me last week. I wound up on my lid. We'll have to work on that, Jacob. I sent Brian Campbell a strongly worded letter about that race. It'll be in his mailbox in 7 business days. Anyway, watching this fight between Klimek and Craig for the bottom step of the podium, INDYCAR is steadily now about a second off of Logan Edwards. This is the battle. Anna Klimek is at a deficit, though. Her and Rashad Craig stopped at the same time, but Anna the Deer is down 33 seconds a push to pass, Jacob.
Well, not only that, she's ahead of Rashad, right? So that means Rashad, given the opportunity, will be able to use that push to pass in the draft, which only exaggerates it even further. And I'd imagine that as this race gets closer to the end, we'll see that gap potentially start to dwindle due to that push to pass difference.
Most certainly so. And you know, this would be a track, if ever there was one, kind of like Road America, where you can most certainly engage the slingshot. Same with the Nürburgring and its long straightaways.
Oh, Logan Edwards is around. Up the hill.
Logan Edwards backwards. That is at the top of the hill, near the skyline corner. What has happened to Logan Edwards? Here's Logan. He's going up. And just almost like he had cut the corner too tight on the banking, and Logan Edwards will spin right out of the lead of this race, and he's missing a front wing, Jacob. Let's see if he's going to try to continue on that. He's got a couple of seconds back to Sophie O'Connell, but I would think that he is going to have to bring that number 2 machine into the pit lane as he kind of taps the wall at exit of Forest Elbow there, trying to make it home.
Yeah, that corner he ultimately spun in is actually somewhat deceptive, in that it's going to kind of drop you into it a lot more rapidly than I think you might realize even from the cockpit. And it does kind of want to unload the car onto the front wheels, and that might just have been too much wheel at any given time for Edwards to make the corner, which sends him around. Going to be a struggle for him to round out this race, missing that front wing.
Yeah, he's already on pit road. Logan Edwards, that's a shame, had led from the get-go, and that leaves this man, Hunter Ingrave, pretty much all by his lonesome here at Mount Panorama. Hunter Ingrave with a 4-second lead over Anna the Deer and Rashad Craig, and this is the battle for second. With Ingrave seemingly all by his lonesome, we're going to focus on this battle for second. The thing to note here also is that Ingrave, Klimek, and Rashad Craig, they're all on the same tires, Jacob, so there's no difference in strategy. There's no advantage or disadvantage to any car here in terms of equipment. It's all just down to who can make the last 5 laps the fastest.
Well, the fastest and keep it out of the walls.
Well, that's very true, and you saw Logan Edwards. He had not put a wheel wrong. Maybe missed the line by a couple of feet, and around the back goes, and he is sideways. Pamela Ingrave checking in. She's cheering on Hunter, of course. And there is Hunter, staked to a 4.5 second lead with the spin from Logan Edwards. Hunter Ingrave all alone navigating the Mount Panorama circuit. Seb Alexander remains on pit road, and that means with Nick Sudik having been released from the pit lane, we have a total of 8 cars 7 cars on the lead lap. Sudik is a lap down. Anthony Heitzma and Tyler Langenberg are back on the track, having effected repair. There's Langenberg in the gold number 14. Anthony Heitzma is in front of him. Interestingly enough, Heitzma and Langenberg are on the same lap with Seb Alexander. Now, Seb Alexander has disconnected from the service, or from his vehicle. He is going to call it quits. So Heitzman and Langenberg are going to pass Seb for the lower positions, but they have a battle brewing with each other. They're only about 7 seconds apart on the racetrack, Jacob.
Got to fight for something when you can get it. That one position could be all the difference for any of those guys. And, of course, you want to try to get the best finish you can, regardless of how your race kind of ends up.
You most certainly do. It's worth mentioning Langenberg is 3.8 seconds quicker than Heitzma the last time through. And so Tyler Langenberg is definitely coming. We're watching the battle between Anna Klimek and Rashad Craig. They are P2 and P3 here. Hunter Ingrav continues to lead away, and we're coming back down the hill to get 3 laps to go. You can no longer see Hunter Ingrav from Anna Klimek's cockpit unless you're on one of these long straightaways, and you can kind of see the dot off in the distance, Jacob.
Yeah, you basically crest that hill, and you'll see Ingrav turn right, and then you'll see down the hill again, and then immediately disappears as we get to the corner. So it's quite the distance that needs to be covered if anybody's going to catch Hunter Ingrav here tonight.
It most certainly is. A dominant performance by Logan Edwards goes by the wayside as he spins at the top of the mountain. That leaves Hunter Ingrav unchallenged for the lead. Anna Klimek is gaining on Ingrav. Anna the Deer, last time through, minute 44.620. Ingrav, minute 44.833. Nick Sudik just goes with the fastest lap, 143.295. And there's got to be some red mist behind the fiercely forward with P1 Docs driver. That is, by the way, Jacob, that 43.2 is 0.7 of a second clear of Hunter Ingrav's best lap. If that tells you how Nick Sudik is feeling right now.
Well, it's as I like to always say, it's average lap time that wins races. You can set off one screamer and put it into the stratosphere, but putting together the whole race distance the fastest possible is going to be what wins the race.
It is also worth noting that he came in and put on new reds, new Firestone red alternate tires on low fuel to make that lap. Just so we're all kind of clear, Rashad Craig has started to line up and work hard on Anna Klimek now. Rashad Craig knows he needs a good result to start moving himself forward in the points. Craig to the right-hand side into the chase, and he will make the move. Move Rashad Craig into second, put Anna Klimek back to third.
Kind of a textbook move that we see here time and time again at Bathurst, heading down into the cutting there. They'll navigate the final corner here. Anna Klimek getting very, very close to Rashad, heading through there, and they'll work their way back towards the uphill portion of the mountain. We'll see if Anna can stay in tow behind Rashad here.
2 laps to go. Hunter Ingrav is the leader. Rashad Craig and Anna Klimek working back up the mountain straight toward Griffin's Bend, and then they'll hang the left at the cutting and start the mountain part. The mountain portion of this track is basically from turns 3 and 4 all the way to turn 19, and that's what you're in right now. You go up and down the mountain. It is very narrow. In some places, it's really only 1 car wide, and we've had significant attrition. Lazaro Benatti, Ty Keela, Seb Alexander, Anthony Heitzman, Tyler Langenberg have all fallen victim at some point or another to the walls. Nick Sudik got himself a speeding ticket. Sudik is in 8th. There are 7 cars on the lead lap. Right now, Hunter Ingrav is your leader, and he has pulled it back out to 5 seconds. So Klimek and Craig had closed, and now they've fallen away just a little bit, Jacob.
Yeah, and I think that's very much going to come down to just kind of how they navigate the individual corners here, because there's so many of them you've got to put together through that mountain section, and every single one of them adds significantly to the lap time if you kind of miss the mark ever so slightly. So that's going to remain the decider of who likely wins this battle between Craig and Klimek.
Indeed, you are right. We're going to jump on board and give a little bit of love to the race leader, Hunter Ingrav, in what turns out to be a dominant performance for him. Logan Edwards spins out of the lead. Ingrav is there, and those two had pushed such a gap back to Rashad Craig and Anna Klimek that really there was not a fight for the lead. Hunter Ingrav, barring any trouble here on the mountain, is going to come home as your winner. And knock on wood for Hunter Ingrav, we do not want the broadcaster's curse. Rashad Craig, some 5.3 seconds back to the defending series champion, Anna Klimek. She resides in third. And give a shout out to Sophia Connell. Sophia is fourth. Caleb Brashear is fifth. Logan Edwards sixth. Thomas Van Kirk is seventh. Those are your lead lap cars. As Hunter Ingrav starts back down the hill, Jacob.
Yeah, and this descent, so many corners.
And so
every single one of them right up against the wall.
Yeah, it's so technical. You can't really, and you saw it with Logan Edwards, you can't get so much as a few feet off your line, or you're simply going to spin the car. Ingrav, though, he's not put a wheel wrong. He's going to come down the Conrad straight, through the chase, down toward Murray's Corner one last time. And Hunter Ingrav is going to grab what I believe, Jacob, will be his maiden top split victory.
I believe that would be the case.
It's always good to see different people win on the broadcast, different people be on the podium. Of course, Hunter Ingrav, he's going to make the left at Murray's, and he will come home as your winner. Rashad Craig and Anna Klimek, they are right together. Rashad goes wide, smacks the ball. Anna Klimek is going to go through. Klimek is second. Rashad Craig will come home third. Give a shout out to Sophia Connell. Sophia in the second Taylor Mills Racing entry, she's going to bring it home fourth, and there she is. Caleb Brashear, he's through Murray's Corner. He's going to come home fifth. Logan Edwards, what might have been for Logan in the Luke Mansky Racing Esports entry, he is charging toward the final corner. He is just behind Nick Sadiq. Sadiq is a lap down. He will be flagged off. But poor Logan Edwards spun from the lead. And how about Thomas Van Kirk? The Dunder Mifflin machine is going to come home seventh and on the lead lap, Jacob. Now that's an achievement right there.
Certainly.
You know, for me, and this is just me, my goal on a road course is always two things. First, don't hit anything, and second, finish on the lead lap. As long as I've done those two things, I think I've done myself a pretty good job. But there is your final Ingrav, Klimek, and Rashad Craig. Sophia Connell is going to bring it home fourth, Jacob. Caleb Brashear is going to wind up fifth. Logan Edwards sixth after he leads the most laps. Thomas Van Kirk is seventh, final car on the lead lap. Nick Sadiq will bring it home in eighth. Taylor Langenberg ninth. Anthony Heitzma rounds out your top 10. In 11th, Seb Alexander, Taikila 12th. Lazaro Benatti is 13th. Facundo Arduzzo will be scored 14th. Will be scored 14th. And I don't believe Facundo Arduzzo took the start.
Doesn't appear so.
You know, and full marks to Hunter Ingrav. We've raced with that guy a lot. You and I have. He's a member of your road racing team, Jacob. I suspect we're going to hear a very happy Hunter Ingrav here in just a moment. speaking of that, we do have the top three in the waiting room. The first guy we're going to bring up is Rashad Craig. Rashad, you've got Murph, you've got Collins in the P1 broadcasting booth. You got a copy?
Yeah, I got you guys.
So you and Klimek were staging what I would classify as a titanic duel there for a second. The slingshot was engaged for both of you. You made the move with 3 to go. Klimek then got by you coming in the final corner. It looked like you ran it wide, smacked the fence. Kind of talk about that battle and how difficult it is either to pass here or to not be passed here, because it looked like a little bit of both was in effect.
It's a little bit of both, because it all comes down to setup, because both your high downforce and low downforce sets work here. And it was definitely running a low downforce. I kind of was striding closer to a higher downforce, so she was able just to get that slingshot and got a really good exit. So, I mean, yeah, once you get to the mountain, nobody's passing anyone unless you want to really get aggressive and possibly perish. But yeah, it's a really fun track. You just gotta kind of be really strategic with it.
Jacob?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing we kind of noticed is the slingshot move was the main way to pass. You've kind of got, maybe 2-3 distinct passing opportunities around this track. But the one thing that kind of caught us by surprise is just how difficult those 90-degree bends here are. We saw it towards the ending of this race, is that the inside line, if you arc it just a little too tightly and end up on the curb, it's very easy to kind of pop it and go wide. Did you feel like you had any opportunities to maybe put yourself in a spot where you weren't going to quite as get put off the ground and into the wall in the closing stages there?
It's hard because that corner of the track's falling away from you, so you kind of tend to understeer. Plus, if you touch that curb at all, you're gonna upset the car more. And like, I tried to leave it as late as I could, and a little bit too late, and clip the curb, and I was kind of done for me. Maybe if I got lifted a little bit earlier and didn't touch the curb, you could have had like a drag race to the line. But yeah, it's very hard. Like you said, most passing you're gonna get done before you even get to the corner in the first place.
Well, thank you so much, Rashad, for stopping in and your explanations of the racing. A couple of weeks yet to go in your defense of your Indy Open title, and so we look forward to seeing you both at the road course next weekend and, of course, the big Indianapolis finale. Before you go, friends, family, sponsor, shout-outs. The floor is yours, Rashad. Take it away.
Like I said, thanks to the friends and family. Thanks to Cozy Threads once again, keeping my hands warm in this getting to fall wintry season. And thanks for the team. Really kind of working on sets, a lot of sets. Everybody's been super busy and super helpful. So, and thanks to you guys for broadcasting again.
Yeah, you're more than welcome, Rashad. Keep your hands nice and toasty, my friend, and keep going fast, having fun. We'll see you next week.
All right, see you guys.
Yes, sir. That is Rashad Craig. He's going to come home in the third spot for the other half of that duel. We're going to turn to Anna Klimek. Anna, you've got Murphy, you've got Collins in the P1 broadcasting booth. How about that fight with Rashad there at the end? You sneak past to get second. How difficult was it to continue that fight with the difference in downforce between the two cars?
I think we kind of, for this race, me and Sophie, who got P4, so congratulations to her. We've kind of been working on a setup for Bathurst, and we kind of designed a setup around just, even though it's a bit slow at the beginning on cold tires, it really preserves the tires, and by the end, we were able to still have good tire life at the end. So that's why, even though it was a bit scary having Craig right on my butt, I knew at the end I'd still have the tire life to fight back and get that move and not let Craig pull away. And yeah, that's what really happened pretty much. So yeah.
Mr. Collins?
Yeah, you kind of talked about how the cold tires were going to be a bit of a trouble spot for your setup here tonight, and we may have saw that kind of from the drop of the green as you were on the front row and fell back to, I believe, the third spot, kind of almost immediately following that. Did you feel like that might have been able to pay off a bit better if you were able to stay in the toe of Edwards and Grev ahead of you, or was the difference between what they had and what you had just too big to try to surmount that with the early stages?
I think the main problem was not qualifying on pole. Like I was only 1 millisecond behind Hunter at the beginning there, so and I made probably locked up a little bit more than I wanted at Forest Elbow. So if I had the pole position, then I felt like I could have controlled the race a little bit better at the beginning, pretty much. So, but I think the plan was like I wasn't too mad if like Logan got past. If I was like, because I thought thinking back to Phillip Island where I just went map 5 and just trying to go long as possible on these tires because the alts weren't not the preferred tire here, but they started pulling away. I'm like, okay, I've got to kind of switch strategies here and start pushing back up. And I did eventually push back up to Hunter, but I made a bit of a mistake where I nearly ended my race. So, but I'm just lucky I was able to survive that and gladly have a nice fight with Craig at the end.
Yeah, well, congratulations on the second place on it. Thank you so much for stopping in. Because you finished on the podium, you get the mic. Friends, family, sponsor, shout outs. The floor is yours.
Yeah, so first off, I've already said this, but thank you for Sophie for working on building on the setups. She's kind of eager to get back into building setups when the new update comes out next season. So, yeah, this is good momentum going forward into that. Taylor Mills Racing and the whole squad behind that. All other INDYCAR friends and VTuber friends who are watching along. Mum, Dad, my brother Jacob, boyfriend Trent. P1 Broadcasting as well for broadcasting these races. I think that covers off everyone this time.
There you go. Well, thank you so much, Anna, for stopping in. Keep going fast, having fun. You hear?
Yeah, thank you.
You are more than welcome. The man of the hour, and for his maiden win on the Monday night top split broadcast, Hunter Ingrav. Hunter, you've got Murph, you've got Collins. You finally managed to win one of these things. Pretty dominant fashion in the end, although it wasn't always that way. Talk to us about trying to catch Logan Edwards, and then what your thoughts were when you saw the number 2 backwards at the top of the hill and going past.
Yeah, I knew he was gonna have the gap at the beginning, but I just knew the tire difference was huge. I could have gone one more, but I didn't want to make it too big of a gap where I pushed the tires too much and then we equal out. So I just pitted just to get the one lap, and I knew I was just trying to take it easy. First lap trying to get the tires warmed up. Once they warmed up, I was starting to kind of get the hang of it. I was catching them and everything, and then all of a sudden I saw a little smoke, and I'm like, uh-oh, and yeah, I saw him spun. I just didn't want to hit him or anything, and it's kind of surprising because Logan never makes hardly any mistakes at all. So yeah, no, it was kind of surprising for sure. I was catching him, but I don't know if I was gonna be able to 100% pass him. But yeah, no, very lucky with the win.
Mr. Collins?
Yeah, we saw kind of the gap be at its biggest between that pit cycle. You know, we saw the undercut maybe start to work in your favor as you started creeping back into the picture. Do you feel like even without the error on Edwards' part that you would have been able to reel him back in and give a fight for the win here, or is there potentially no way of knowing without having it actually happen?
I think I could have gotten the draft, but the problem is just going up the hill, the dirty air, kind of like to push the car, and I noticed I had a little more clicks of wing than Logan did down the straightaway. So I know if I would have got ahead, he would have just kind of breezed right by me down the straights again. So I think Logan probably would have maybe won it, but I guess we don't know.
It would sure have been fun to find out, though. You were very, very quick, and with the tire difference, I would have loved to have seen that played out till the end. Alas, Logan spun it off. You got the win, and because you got the win, by the way, congratulations one more time for this being your first broadcast, your first open top split broadcast win. With that said, friends, family, sponsors, you earned it, Hunter. Talk as long as you like.
First, shout out to my mom and my dad for always watching these. Last shout out to just everybody on the team in the Alliance. They made a very good setup this week. I don't know why I'm doing it all with setups. So them and all the people that get the credit. I'm just the idiot that drives the cars. So shout out to everybody who does a phenomenal job in the setups and everything. And you guys for always doing a phenomenal job of the broadcast and every single week in, week out. It's always fun to watch. And yeah.
Absolutely. Well, go celebrate. My friend, keep going fast, having fun, and we will see you at the next one.
Thank you very much, gentlemen.
Absolutely. That is Hunter Ingrav. He is the winner tonight at Bathurst. Jacob, that turned out to be kind of something that I expected, but also something that I didn't expect. I knew it was going to spread out, but the fact that we had a battle on the podium that came down to the final corner, that's some pretty good stuff.
Yeah, it was good to see kind of the different strategies in terms of the setup kind of play out too, right? As we had that difference between maybe higher and lower downforce, being able to get cars to pick their speeds up in different spots, and it was cool to see how that played out in even multiple battles throughout the field tonight.
Yes, it was. And if you want to keep seeing battles, keep it right here on P1. Later on tonight, we've got the Indy Next Road Series live from Lime Rock. That'll be Jacob Collins at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard. And at 9:05, it's the Onyx Open Wheel Lotus 79 Series, the finale from Auto Club. 9:05 Eastern Standard. Gary Gonzo at Luis Gonzalez Nunez on the call for that one tomorrow night. It's the IndyCar Oval Tuesday night top split from the good Phoenix, Legacy Phoenix. That's going to be at 7:15 Eastern, and then immediately following, it's the Indy Next Oval Series from Phoenix as well, 8:30 p.m. Eastern. Wednesday night, it's going to be another doubleheader, the Horizon IndyCar Series season finale from Indianapolis. That'll be at Ryan Eric King and I, 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. And the Formula Indy Series will go from at 8:20, one of their oval rounds, Jacob. That'll happen at Gateway. Thursday night, it will be myself and Luca Tedesco for the Indy Next Thrustmaster Qualifying Series second split. We will have the second split, the community split, and that will be at 8 o'clock. For Gary Gonzo, my partner Jacob Collins, I am Mark Murphy, and we would like to thank all of the competitors and fans as well for making each one of these a lot of fun to do. If you haven't already done it, make sure you smash the like button on the video, ring the bell, subscribe to the channel so you can be notified of all future P1 broadcasts. But most of all, we'd like to thank the people that really make it possible: the military, the police, the firemen, the EMTs that drive the ambulance, Jacob, and the nurses that unload you when you get there. From the bottom of our hearts, we thank you. We will see you all at the next one.